Line has reduced air conditioning across campus, forcing more than 20 buildings to temporarily close beginning Tuesday. The closures come as southeast Wisconsin heads into one of the hottest stretches of the year, with dangerous heat expected through at least Tuesday. University officials say repairs are expected to take at least a month. Classes will continue, though some may be relocated, while employees in affected buildings may work remotely or from other campus buildings. Nizer Spencer, WTMJ News.
In a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court is ruling in favor of counting mail-in ballots postmarked by Election Day that are received after Election Day. The ruling set a Mississippi law that allows mail-in ballots to be counted if they're postmarked by and received within 5 days of Election Day is not preempted by federal Election Day statutes. The Supreme Court's rejected President Trump's bid to overturn the verdict that found he sexually assaulted and defamed E. Jean Carroll. The ruling means the $5 million civil judgment and the verdict will remain in place. In 2019, Carroll filed a lawsuit that alleged Trump sexually assaulted her in a dressing room in the 1990s. Immigrants' rights groups reporting increased ICE activity in Milwaukee and Waukesha.
De actividad de ICE que ha estado arrestando personas en la ciudad de Milwaukee en la área del norte.
Voces de la Frontera has verified multiple ICE operations reported to their 24-hour hotline. Executive Director Christine Newman-Ortiz says the ICE activity began on Friday at several locations across Milwaukee, confirming 4 people were detained. Then on Sunday, callers reported ICE activity near Jefferson Street and Moreland Road in Waukesha. A post on Facebook says 8 ICE agents surrounded a vehicle, broke the windows, and forced the driver out of the car. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
Tens of thousands of people still missing under the rubble in Venezuela after last week's earthquakes. ABC's James Longman is in Caracas, where aftershocks are still happening.
When the aftershock hit, everyone just went running down this street to get away. We're being moved away from here because obviously we're still surrounded by tall buildings. Now, over this weekend, 33 people were miraculously found inside the rubble. That is spreading a sense of hope in Venezuela that other people could be found. But right now, there are still 47,000 names on missing lists.
Nearly 1,500 people have died. More than 3,000 have been hurt. There was a deadly alligator attack in Florida. Here's ABC's Jim Ryan.
A 31-year-old woman who was swimming in the Aconlacatchee River in Seminole County was dragged under by an alligator Sunday. She was taken to a hospital where she died of her injuries. A day earlier, a child was bitten at a fish camp in Marion County. And a week ago, a snorkeler was injured in an alligator attack in the Rainbow River near Florida's Gulf Coast.
In Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, a 28-year-old on a popular beach was dragged out to sea by a crocodile. His body was recovered on Saturday. The 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence now less than a week away. America 250 Chair Rosie Rios tells Wisconsin's Weekend Morning News the planning started 4 administrations ago.
By law, we are working with all 3 branches of government, the executive branch, of course, Congress, we are a congressional commission, and even the Supreme Court. None of this is easy, but it is absolutely worthwhile. I mean, there's no playbook you could take off the shelf that says, here's how you throw the country's biggest celebration you've ever seen.
Rios says their goal is to engage all 350 million Americans in the celebrations. Time for news about your money with the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow up 270, NASDAQ up 305, S&P 500 up 49. Financial planning at every level, Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:05.
Who doesn't need a seasonal wardrobe update? But who has the cash to always keep their wardrobe updated? Ladies, that's why you shop St. Vincent de Paul. Our women's clothing is always a highlight of our stores, and thrift store prices keep the costs low. It allows you to experiment and also find a hidden gem. St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
Ooh, you're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
For those with a warm weather fashion passion, try St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores, because that's where you'll find a vast array of men's, women's, girls, and boys' warm weather apparel at the friendliest prices. So many choices, and at such a value. You can fill the closet without draining your wallet. Shop warm weather fashions at St. Vincent de Paul thrift stores on Highway 100 in Layton and Greenfield, 23rd in Lincoln, and 76th and Bradley Road in Milwaukee.
You're gonna love it, St. Vincent de Paul.
Fuel up this summer with Tyson's. we're giving away $26,000 in gas cards. Enter at your local Tyson store for your chance to win a $500 gas card. 2 winners per store. That's 52 total winners. Plus, more Club Rewards members get a bonus entry. Not a member? Sign up for free today at Tysons.com. No purchase necessary. Must be 18 years or older. Entry is valid in store only. Visit your local Tysons today and enter. Entries are accepted June 1st through June 30th.
Hey, John Mercure here from my friends at Dave Dragamp Heating and Cooling, where your family's comfort is their family's tradition. If you're one of the many Wisconsinites just now realizing that old air conditioning system is unable to handle the summer heat, please give Dave Dragamp a call ASAP. The longer you wait, the longer it takes. Maybe your system just needs some maintenance. And if that's the case, you can count on the honest experts at Dave Dragamp to simply recommend a tune-up. It's why we've welcomed them into our home for more than a decade. Visit DaveDragamp.com today. The teams I trust.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Brewers came up short, falling to the Chicago Cubs 4-3 in 10 innings at American Family Field. The Milwaukee hosts the Cincinnati Reds for a 4-game set that starts tonight. Team Canada opened the knockout stage of the World Cup with a 1-0 win over South Africa from Inglewood, Canada's first knockout match victory in World Cup history. The round of 32 continues with 3 more matches today. Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. Just a couple of broken down vehicles. One on the exit to 84th Street from I-94 West and 94 West about 1.25 miles beyond the ramp from Highway 100. Right shoulder there is blocked due to a disabled vehicle. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Extreme heat warning starting at noon. Sunny, breezy, humid, high 94 today. Muggy and warm overnight, low 76. Extreme heat warning again tomorrow in effect until 7 p.m. with a heat index over 100 degrees. Hot and humid. Tuesday's high 95. Chance of storms north and central Wisconsin Wednesday. Maybe southeastern Wisconsin later in the day. Sunny and hot again, high 96. Chance of storms on Thursday. Slight chance, high 95. And a chance of storms again Friday, especially to the north. Hot and humid, high of 91. 82 in Madison, 76 in Green Bay, 81 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:08.
Broadcasting live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue in downtown Milwaukee. Let's start the week by going up front to get the latest on Wisconsin politics statewide with Channel 12 Political Director Matt Smith on Point Taken.
And welcome to the Monday show. Yes, up front means Matt Smith, Political Director at Channel 12, who joins us in studio almost every Monday of the year. Good morning, Matt Smith.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy holiday week. Happy heat wave week.
Heat wave.
Jeez.
We're having a heat wave.
Yeah, we're getting in the spirit, right?
Isn't it wild? Not to get off topic, but like a few nights ago, I had a sweatshirt on outside at like 6 o'clock.
Yeah, June wasn't overwhelmandly warm.
No. That's
that's
a month gone, basically.
I
So
remember
now we're
many
talking July,
softball
August.
games wearing sweatshirts.
Yeah, I know. I watched my grandson play ball, and it was freezing. And now we're going to have
not
90
enjoyable.
degree. Anyway, I'm glad you're here.
Yeah.
I don't often, and I heard Krista talking about this with you before the show, I'm not often not real up to speed on what your guests are talking about, but this is apparently a big problem, and it involves like Medicare fraud, changes to an IRIS program.
Yeah.
So spell it out for us.
So this really
Literally, because
hasn't...
there's also a lot of acronyms, it feels.
It is. So, this hasn't been talked about a lot in the state, and it's kind of been happening behind the scenes a lot. So this involves the state. It's like a $1.5 billion a year program. This is funded through
Wisconsin.
in Wisconsin alone.
Yeah.
Funded through state and federal Medicaid dollars. So
This is PPL, or this is IRIS?
No, this is IRIS. This is
okay.
IRIS. So essentially what it does is it allows people in Wisconsin, right now there's about 29,000 enrolled in the program. They essentially receive this money, this taxpayer money, and they're allowed to receive in-home care, they're allowed to receive transportation, and they can kind of manage their own services. So in a nutshell, it allows people to stay in their homes as opposed to like having to go to a facility, right? Okay. So like they can manage their care, they get this money. So right now, there's 4 contractors that manage this program, the payroll, the money, all the paperwork. The state wants to consolidate to one. So they're in the process. The problem is, some say, the company that they've selected is under a major firestorm in other states. A week and a half ago, the Justice Department filed a lawsuit against this company. It's called Public Partnerships, PPL. the Justice Department is accusing the company in New York State, the company of Medicaid fraud. It's accusing the state of New York of not policing this company. So there's a whole lot of problems. And now DHS, the Department of Health Services, is reviewing their decision because there's been some formal protests filed over their selection of this new company. Does that kind of make sense? It's complicated.
Yes.
I get it.
All right. So you had a New York State Senator, James Skoufis, on, who's telling us here, and I'm using your quote, to proceed with caution on this. Let's hear a little bit of that interview.
There were thousands of caregivers who weren't getting paid during the early and middle parts of this transition. It was a full-blown disaster. And putting, sort of the cherry on top of this mess was PPL was gaslighting lawmakers like myself. They were outright lying. Wisconsin is right to take a pause here and review everything before moving forward. As a New Yorker, I'm in no place to tell Wisconsin, what they should or should not be doing at the end of the day, but they should proceed with caution.
I guess it's another one of those stories that we've talked about healthcare so much this year. It's like, what the hell are we doing with these programs? Just like no oversight. Things are being rammed through. Things are being stripped away without any concern for the actual people that benefit from these programs. It sounds like, just from your initial description, this is a great program that keeps people in their homes.
Yes.
But yet we have concerns.
And if you talk to advocates or people who are close to Wisconsinites who receive and rely on these services, they immediately point to New York and say, if this happens, people are not going to get the care that they need. If caregivers are not receiving their paychecks, they're not going to show up, right? They're not going to show up to work. So if all of these checks and balances are not in place, the entire system could collapse. That for a lot of times is just happening behind the scenes, but it's $1.5 billion in taxpayer money that's being shelled out every year.
So this is specific to like you said before, there's 4 contractors and there's a move to consolidate to one.
Yeah.
Why was this the one that was chosen? Have you gotten to dig into that?
No, so DHS really has not talked a lot about this, and they keep saying, well, now this review is underway, so we can't comment publicly. What DHS has said, listen, and I think a lot of people will agree with this, is if we streamline from 4 companies to one, this is going to create a better process in the end, right? Like, we have one company managing all the paperwork, we have one company managing all the payroll. So like in an essence, that kind of makes sense. But it's the company the state chose, and they really haven't provided any reasoning publicly for this decision. It's the company that they've chose, which has had issues in other states, that's raising some concerns right now.
And was the timeline that there was already issues in other states after Wisconsin chose them?
Yes. Yeah.
So what Wisconsin lawmakers what are they saying about this?
So there's some lawmakers behind the scenes that I've talked to, especially those, who are on the Joint Finance Committee or what have you, who are concerned. But we're at the point where DHS filed this, they technically call it a notice of intent, right? Like, we're going to select this company, but now these appeals, for lack of a better term, have been filed. So until DHS comes out and says, we've completed our review, this is our final decision, no one really has taken any legislative action. But I know lawmakers are watching this closely. And like I said, from your initial reaction, a lot of this has happened behind the scenes and not many people have talked about it. But it is a concern, and people are concerned.
Yeah, and it goes to what we've said before. We need a healthcare reset in this country because so much of this stuff is just fraught with peril, and people are not getting the answers they need, or in some cases, the care they need.
Yeah.
So big story. We'll take a break with Matt Smith, political director at Channel 12, host of Upfront, along with Jaron Jordan. After the break, some World Cup. You had Alex Lazarian, who's working closely on that effort, which seems incredibly successful. And like the round of 32 started yesterday, I believe. And I think the U.S. plays
7 p.m. Wednesday night. I was just trying to get a babysitter so we can go watch it somewhere.
Is that why people that own pubs and restaurants and bars are reaching out to me for time on the radio? Because they want to.
Probably. I mean, it's a big deal. The numbers right now are great as far as what they're reaching NFL numbers as far as Americans watching.
Yeah, so big story, of course. We'll get to that after this on 620 WTMJ.
Heart disease won't stop us. Diabetes won't slow us down. Allergies, high blood pressure, shoulder pain, cancer. Nothing will keep us from pushing Wisconsin ahead. Because with the Freighter and the Medical College of Wisconsin Health Network, forward progress is what we stand for. That means always pushing and always innovating. With new technologies and breakthrough treatments that make life better. whether we're sick or well. It means providing more convenience and more ways to receive medical excellence for all your health needs, for big and small. It means being there for you, our family, caring for yours. So let's keep raising the bar. Let's keep testing the limits of what medicine can do. Let's push ahead and make life here as great as it can be. Visit Freighter.com to find out how.
WTMJ's Eric Bilstead here. You know, it's been more than 3 years since we got our garage door from J.D. Griffiths, and it still looks brand new. I'm telling you, it's quiet, it's smooth, and honestly, I didn't realize how much of a difference a quality door would make until we upgraded. J.D. Griffiths, they've been doing it for decades. They're local, trusted, and they handle everything. Try the website, jdgriffiths.com/WTMJ. Schedule your free consultation from J.D. Griffiths.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix It Show with David Nason, featuring this week's guest, CertaPro Painters. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. And at 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
All right, having fun on a Monday, politically speaking, with Kristen Bry and Steve Squiddy on Point Taken. And Matt Smith joins us every Monday, host of the Upfront program and political director at Channel 12 in Milwaukee. It's a great program, by the way. You should watch it. It really sort of catch you up to speed, which it did for us on the Medicare and some of those funding issues. This one is topical, obviously relevant, the World Cup going on.
Yeah.
Alex Lasry, former candidate for Senate and former, what was his title at the Bucks? Vice president?
Vice president
Bucks
of something.
executive, yeah.
Yeah, Bucks executive.
Yeah, rich guy. Joined your show to talk about his experiences with the World Cup. So what did Mr. Lasry have to say?
So, yeah, and as you guys know, and you've talked to him, he's CEO right now of the New York, New Jersey World Cup Host Committee. So essentially responsible for making sure everything runs smoothly for all the fans who are coming in to watch the games.
Basically, outside. What I got from our interview with him, though, is it's nothing to do with what happens inside any of the stadiums.
Yeah.
It is everything outside of the stadiums.
Yes.
It is watch parties. It is transportation. It is hosting.
Yes, you're right. You want to be a good host for all your guests, right? So that's kind of been his role for the past year leading up to this. So, I mean, we want to bring on fun newsmakers, right? Like who have a connection to Wisconsin. So we talked a little bit about that, and I was curious how many Wisconsinites he's run into. And he says, yeah, I mean, Wisconsin is getting into World Cup fever a little bit.
All right, we got a little bit of that interview with Alex Lasry.
Have you run into folks from Wisconsin? Is Wisconsin represented in the fan base?
I was on the bus from Port Authority to MetLife Stadium, and I was sitting next to a couple German fans, and someone on the bus walked on with a Packers hat on, and I yelled, "Go Packers!" And he kind of gave me a little fist bump, and then the guy next to me was like, "Oh, I'm from Wauwatosa." And I, introduced myself, and he was like, "Oh, the Bucks guy." And so I was like, "Yeah, now the World Cup guy." So it's been great seeing people from all over the world.
I mean, it's a great story, obviously.
It's fun, right?
It's super fun. Well, it's also, I am lamenting that there wasn't something closer than Kansas City in the Midwest as far as Chicago or Minneapolis. But, you think about that in a drive to Kansas City versus a flight to New York, and it doesn't surprise me that Wisconsinites are going to New York as the closest game to, and then you get a trip into New York out of it, right? And so I'm excited. Like we've talked about it a fair amount as far as the enthusiasm around it, how many different cities have really gotten into hosting different tourists who are here. And
he made the point that he goes, listen, we want to do this well because look at the next decade. Like there are a ton of major sporting events, whether you look at Olympics, whether you look at other major events that are coming to the U.S. So his point was like, we need to do this well to prove that we can do this for all of these huge events coming to the U.S. over the next decade.
So there was a lot of concerns based on, the politics of our country and our relationship with the rest of the world. But from all accounts, things are going pretty smoothly.
It seems like it.
Yeah. I think there's been stories here or there as far as some players or staff getting into the country. I think they changed the rules for the Iranian team as far as at least for the first round, they had to go to and stay in Tijuana. They couldn't stay in Los Angeles, and I think they may have eased that up a little bit. So there's some immigration hiccup stories, but nothing. It doesn't seem like there's been anything overwhelming, at least that I've read.
And I think we got 2 more weeks before that's all settled, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Finals happening in New York, so like a lot of activity still coming to where he is.
All right, go ahead.
I was going to say, and I was with a family member over the weekend who longtime production audio intern of the audio for the Super Bowl. So very cool job.
Yeah.
And I found out that he is doing the halftime show for the World Cup. But it was a secret as far as who's performing. So I guess that is not public knowledge yet. But
Do you know?
I don't. He wouldn't even tell me.
He wouldn't even tell you.
No.
Because you'd blab it.
Probably. That's the thing. He looked
knew.
at me and he
He's
was
like,
you do have a show. And so, it was
Don't tell her.
Yes, exactly.
Flashing. All right, after the break, this is like an inside baseball, but I love it. How you make those decisions, especially around election time, to who to have on the show or who not to have on the show. What's that like for a political director at a local TV station? We'll get Matt's response to that and more right here on the Monday edition of Point Taken on 620 WTMJ.
Are you hosting an event, launching something new, wanting to get the word out about your part of the state? Be a featured guest on the WTMJ Experience Wisconsin show. Share your story, promote your event or business, and connect with fans all across the state. I'm John Merkier. I'd love to interview you. We reach listeners from Milwaukee to Madison, Green Bay to La Crosse, everywhere in between. It's Experience Wisconsin. Ready to shine a spotlight on your business or company? Email me, john@WTMJ.com for more information. john@WTMJ.com.
Hey, WTMJ's Steve Scavini. For 70 years, Geis has been the trusted garage authority of Wisconsin. So if you have a broken garage door or your opener's not working, which is my thing, and I'm getting a brand new opener from Geis, call my friends at Geis today with brands like CHI, LiftMaster. They have doors for every budget and even can build some amazing custom designs to help meet your exact needs, whether that's appearance, whether that's budget. For swift and reliable garage repair solutions, go to geisdoors.com, and Geis is spelled G-E-I-S. You can also visit, like I did, their amazing showroom in Brookfield. It's cool. All the doors. Visit the opener room. You'll be blown away. All the technology, the apps and the cameras and all this stuff. Amazing stuff. Help you make a decision on what I'm getting. It's a custom design room available for you when they're open in Brookfield. Don't think twice. Call Geis, G-E-I-S, geisdoors.com.
Wisconsin is as hard-working of a place as you'll ever find. There's a sense of pride, community, and work ethic that's second to none. People here are tough, but even the toughest among us need help after a serious accident. At Gruber Law Offices, we won't stop fighting for you and your family. We've been here and will continue to be here for as long as you need us. Gruber Law Offices. One call, that's all.
Save on the best quality furniture and mattresses during the July Independence Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture. With major discounts from our premier suppliers, you will save big on top brands like Bradington Young, made in the foothills of the Great Smoky Mountains. Bradington Young is known for its fine quality leather upholstery. Fjords brings you modern Scandinavian design recliners and sofas, ergonomically engineered for more hip and back support. Norwalk, with American roots that go back over 100 years, specializes in making furniture just for you. Choose the piece, style, fabric, or leather you want, and in just 35 days, we'll deliver your new sofa, chair, or sectional. In stock or special orders are all sale priced. Need a little help putting it all together? At Ken Michaels Furniture, our design staff is ready to help you with your purchases, and it's free. Stop in today and save now during the Independence Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture on Capitol Drive in Brookfield, Highway 100 in Greenfield, or our downtown Mattress Factory showroom.
For more than a century, Curative Care has been helping children, adults, and families across southeast Wisconsin navigate developmental disabilities and find the support they need to thrive. Curative helps families every step of the way, from early childhood through adulthood, connecting parents with resources, providing guidance during challenging times, and creating a community where people truly belong. If you know someone who may be looking for answers and support for a loved one with developmental disabilities, visit curative.org today.
Channel 12 political director Matt Smith, host of Up Front, joining us for the half hour to start the Monday edition of Point Taken, along with Kristen and Steve. All right, so this is a Kristen topic, but I'm fascinated by this because we get the same thing.
Yeah,
bombarded
because
with
I
requests.
actually had it with this candidate, right? So the third guest you had on this weekend's show is Lorenzo Santos, who is one of 4 primary candidates for Congressional District 1 running to challenge Brian Stile.
Yeah.
And I had also heard from this candidate as far as time to get on the show. And Steve and I have gone back and forth as far as, and we have a lot more time every week than you do, right? As far as we have 2 hours a day, you take out news and commercials, that ends up being about an hour. And how much time do you give to, when you get out of these statewide races, how much time do you give to any one candidate in primaries, knowing that if you're going to do for one, you should probably do for all? And so since you guys had Lorenzo on this weekend, I was just wondering as far as how you guys make those decisions of, does it have to be congressional seats? Does it have to be in the area? Like, what is the criteria when you end up getting primary candidates airtime?
Yeah, so sometimes, it's not an easy decision, right? You guys have had the discussion. So, to be honest, a lot of times the news dictates it, right? Yeah. So, in this scenario, in the first congressional, the first Democrat we had on was Peter Burgelis, who it was a newsworthy story that a Milwaukee alderman living outside the district was launching his bid to run in this district, right? So, and he came on the show to announce his bid. So it was a newsworthy segment from our perspective. And in that case, then you do open the door, right? So as you mentioned, our policy is if you have one, you have them all, right? Yeah. So now we're going through the process. There's 4. We were waiting for ballot access and all of that stuff. So there are 4 Democrats, so there's 1 left. We will have all of them on. So that kind of dictated that scenario. But sometimes there isn't hard and fast rules. But generally speaking, at least from our perspective, in a primary, if you have one, you're likely going to have them all, right?
Yeah.
But the newsworthiness and the news value is what it comes down to us, at least in terms of the initial spark. Because you can't talk to every race, every primary race. Like it could be endless, right? And there has to be a news peg for us, right? We're a statewide show. We have limited time. You know? So I think we have.
When you take the commercials out, what are you guys?
I think we have 22 minutes.
Yeah, that is fast.
21 and a half. Yeah. So that's not a lot of time, right? It is a lot of time, out of a traditional newscast, but we do have to make those decisions, and those editorial decisions are made every day.
Yeah, and more inside baseball, we are bombarded, us, by candidates and current elected officials to be on the radio or TV.
Oh, for sure.
They all want the exposure. It's an easy way to get access to a lot of people quickly. And this is the part that you have to be considerate about. If someone is an unknown candidate, just wants exposure, and they want free access to the public, and that's not necessarily how we do our show.
Yeah, it's not necessarily newsworthy either, right? Like if you are a candidate, and even if you look at a statewide race, if you're a candidate that hasn't raised any money, has no polling, has no presence, and yet you still somehow got signatures, like that doesn't necessarily make you worthy for
interesting
a time
radio
slot. Yeah,
or,
well, that too.
Right, and I think that I was telling you, it takes. When I first started a broadcasting career, what I thought was interesting and I had the freedom to do, I now look back and I'm like, well, that was probably really boring radio. Because as far as what is actually makes people's ears perk up or eyes perk up.
Interesting and relevant are the two factors.
Interesting and relevant versus important, not always the same thing.
And whether you like it or not, there's a reality whether that candidate has a chance or not, right? There are metrics that will determine that, and whether you like it or not, it's the world we live in.
Do we know polling for that congressional district? I'm sure maybe they have some internal polling.
But they're not releasing it.
It's super up in the there's been nothing public, and we've reminded all of the Democratic candidates, yes, the DCCC is heavily invested in it, which is another newsworthy value that we took into consideration. National Democrats are looking at the first and the third. So that's another factor that we took in deciding to go down this route in the first. But Brian Stile won it by 10 points 2 years ago. So this is a major uphill battle for Democrats.
All right. You have a great 4th of July.
You guys as well.
I will not see you next Monday because I'm off.
Lucky.
You and I.
All right.
Chop it up.
You two kids can chop it up on politics. And
maybe for a full hour. Sometimes when you're gone, I have Matt come for a full hour.
That's twice as much and twice as good. All right.
I don't get as spicy as you, though, I don't think, sometimes.
Not. That's what I'm here
Definitely
for.
not.
The spice. The Italian spice. All right. We have local news update from Connie Weber before we get to that. The latest now from, and big news happening, ABC.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Sherry Preston. The Supreme Court, in a ruling that expands presidential power, ruling that President Trump does have the power to hire and fire those serving in independent government agencies like the FCC and the FAA. However, in the case of Fed Governor Lisa Cook, the court said she can keep her job for now. ABC's Devin Dwyer with more.
What the Supreme Court said is the Fed is different. It rejected President Trump's attempt, at least for now, to remove a Democratic appointee, Lisa Cook, from the Fed. He's alleged that she committed mortgage fraud. He said that constitutes cause for her removal. The Supreme Court, in a decision by Justice John Roberts, said that isn't clear in this case, but for now she can stay on the job. The Fed is different. It's unique.
The High Court also refusing to hear an appeal in the $5 million sex abuse and defamation civil suit that writer E. Jean Carroll won against the president. This is ABC News.
Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:31. I'm Connie Weber. That extreme heat warning takes effect at noon today. Cooling sites open across the Milwaukee area. Milwaukee Public Library branches, county senior centers, and several pools, splash pads, and beaches available for anybody looking to cool off. Some locations may charge admission or have limited hours. Health experts advise you to stay hydrated and limit outdoor activity during the hottest part of the day. Milwaukee Brewers players helping lead a local relief effort for victims of the deadly earthquakes in Venezuela. All-star catcher William Contreras, outfielder Jackson Churio, and coach Nestor Corredor are launching a relief drive with Forward Latino and 2 Milwaukee churches. The donation drive starts today at 12:30 at Blessed Sacrament Catholic Church. Organizers collecting food, bottled water, and other emergency supplies for people affected by the earthquakes. Washington County working to redevelop brownfields thanks to an Environmental Protection Agency grant. The EPA defines brownfields as sites that are complicated to redevelop because they may be contaminated. The $1.5 million grant will be used to make cleanup plans for 15 of these sites. Washington County's previously redeveloped over 60 acres of brownfields to make hundreds of new housing units. Time for news about your money with the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. Dow up 232 points at 52,108. NASDAQ up 334 at 25,632. S&P 500 up 53 points at 7,407. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. A disabled vehicle on the exit to 84th Street from I-94 West. Also, I-94 West, a mile and a quarter beyond the ramp from Wisconsin Highway 100. Right shoulder there blocked due to a broken down vehicle. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. That extreme heat warning again starts at noon. Sunny, breezy, humid, high of 94 today. Muggy and warm overnight with a low of 76. There's an extreme heat warning in effect until 7 p.m. Tuesday with a heat index over 100 degrees. Hot and humid. Tuesday's high 95. Chance of storms north and central Wisconsin. Chance for us in southeast Wisconsin late in the day. Sunny with a high heat and humidity again. Wednesday's high 96. Slight chance of storms on Thursday, high 95. Chance of storms again on Friday, hot and humid, high 91. 83 in Madison, 77 in Green Bay, 82 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber, Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 10:34.
Please be advised. You may want to stop eating the following foods immediately: broccoli, kale, bean sprouts, blueberries, quinoa, spinach.
Wait, what? I thought those were good for me.
Turns out, not for everyone. Because what's healthy for one person can cause inflammation for another. And the only way to really know what your body needs is to listen to it.
Listen how?
That's where Viome comes in. Viome is a simple, at-home gut health test that looks at your body's real-time biology using RNA to understand what's happening inside you right now. When your results come in, you'll learn exactly which foods to eat, which to avoid, and which supplements are right for you, all based on the world's largest RNA-based human biology database and thousands of clinical research studies. And many people who use Viome report more energy, better digestion, and a better mood within months. So stop guessing. Start knowing. Learn more at viome.com/gut. V as in Victor, IOME.com/GUT. And use coupon code GUTHEALTH50 to save $50 off your purchase. Viome. Trust your gut.
Dave Spano, CEO of Annex Wealth Management, a fee-only fiduciary.
Fee-only fiduciary really further separates the folks that either say fiduciary some of the time or best interests altogether. And it's not just that alone. It is, of course, everything else that we can bring to the table that just isn't asset management. It is estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, All of it wrapped together in one transparent fee.
Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management. Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
Hey everybody, it's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Access Legal. I see firsthand how hard Wisconsin workers push themselves. From the construction crews on the roads I monitor every day to the countless jobs that strain the body over time. For many, that wear and tear turns into real pain. My friends at Access Legal understand what you're going through and they want to help. Their team has recovered more than $35 million for Wisconsin workers and will fight for the benefits you're entitled to as well. Worn down by work? Contact Access Legal for a risk-free consultation. That's AXIS Legal.
Heat wave coming, so take all the precautions, drink plenty of liquids.
I just realized we're going to be outside doing our show tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. We're at the Morningstar Golf Course.
What am I going to wear that's appropriate for a golf outing?
Well, shorts with that top. There you go. Or a different top of the same ilk.
You don't want to wear the same top 2 days in a row?
Probably. Unless you
But
want
yeah,
to.
tomorrow's going to be a hot one, and we're going to be outside for the WTMJ Classic.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Lots of great content. And just for the folks who are watching the news or doing whatever you're doing out there, yes, there is breaking Supreme Court news. We're going to have James Santel join us by phone at 11:35 to break it down. A couple losses for the president and some restriction of some of his ability to do things, and a big decision on late arriving votes by mail. So it went the opposite of what the president was looking for. Now, this is a very topical and relevant question, but for a couple reasons. One, if I were to ask you how many U.S. adults, Kristen Bry, and you're a U.S. adult, are obese, what would your answer be? What percentage?
Based on the definition of BMI being over 30?
Yes.
44%.
Did you cheat?
No.
Yeah, it's like 43%.
Did I nail it?
Yeah, well, it was almost, yeah.
What is it actually?
43, something, 43.1.
Okay.
Yeah, good job.
I also don't, I'm not a doctor, but I think the BMI thing is sometimes like a initial indicator, but I think there's also people who are like very strong, who have a BMI that are also not unhealthy.
Yeah, it's not a perfect measure.
Like, it's not a perfect measure, I don't think. And I think there's some people who have a very low BMI that apparently is healthy, but you're like, you look too thin.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I don't know if BMI is the best, but apparently that is the criteria now to get on a GLP-1.
Yeah, so why this is very relevant is starting July 1st, that drug, several drugs under that umbrella of GLP-1s are going to be available on Medicare for very specific reasons. And one of those reasons is obesity. Not for like vanity projects, not because you want to look like a supermodel, none of that stuff. You have to have a doctor say you're obese, and that's measured again by BMI. It means you go get physical. I just scheduled my physical next month for my annual physical. All of these things are covered under that thing. And if you have a doctor worth their salt in what they're telling you, they will tell you pretty quickly, because for one of the first things you do, at least I do when I go to doctors, they weigh you.
It is.
And they also do blood
No matter
work.
what age you are.
Yes.
Frankie goes into the doctor, that's the first thing they do.
Yeah, so that is an effort, I think. This is why I think this is significant. And I'll tell you some personal stories in a second about all the stuff that's swirling around GLP-1s and people my age and what they're talking about when it comes to their diets and stuff is fascinating, because I was out to dinner a couple of nights this weekend rather. So for many, many seniors, and I'm in that group, there has been a significant, this is anecdotal, but I know a lot of people who are taking GLP-1 drugs to lose weight. I would say they're people that are probably, they're not 600 pounds, they're not 300 pounds, but they're probably, 50 pounds overweight, men and women, which is a lot. I mean, I lost 50 pounds. I can tell you everything that used to hurt on me at that previous weight, nothing hurts anymore.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, because here's the great test. And I've had health coaches over the year, I've had personal trainers. Lift up 50 pounds and hang on to it for a while. Or go up a flight of stairs.
I mean, even carry a jug of milk around, because what is that, 5 pounds?
Yeah, something like that,
and you carry that around for up a flight of stairs if you're, like, that's how you carry your groceries in or something like that. And just think about even losing 5 pounds and not carrying that jug of milk. But like, as of someone who has an almost 40-pound toddler who wants to be carried around, I would imagine not carrying around 40 extra pounds makes a big difference.
Yeah, when I'm hiking my grandkids up over my shoulder, they weigh 40 pounds. Yeah. I mean, they're heavy kids. And think about that on your body, stress on your heart and all that stuff. So what this means is it's a trial, Medicare trial. It runs out the end of 2027. So you've got the rest of this year, starting July 1st and through 2027. And we're going to learn a lot about, I think, our country and what people are thinking about. And I could tell you that a lot of people my age, it's on their minds. So I know you put a link in here to check the criteria. I actually can't. I don't know if I can.
So a lot of it comes back to BMI, right? So like we said, as far as it being, you need to have prior authorization from a doctor, and it largely needs to be indicating that by losing weight, which makes sense, right? As far as other unfortunate health outcomes will be curbed by you going on a drug and losing weight. So if it's like 10 pounds, you're not going to get prior authorization. No. And the benefit is it becomes a $50 a month copayment, which is a lot cheaper.
Because we're talking about hundreds and thousands of dollars to pay for it now. Often the insurance pays nothing, and people are saying, if they can afford it, I'm just going to take the drug.
Well, and it's interesting because I've had, on the prior show, we had a doctor come on who had written an op-ed about this as far as an investment from Medicaid and Medicare to allow access to these drugs could be such a money saver as far as it mitigating other long-term health outcomes that are very, very expensive.
Heart disease.
And so, but I think not the concern, but because like you said, if this trial ends at the end of 2027, most, reports back are once you stop taking the drug, the weight comes back. And so that is some people's concern about getting on in the first place of like, I don't want to take a drug the rest of my life. But if these people who sign up for this get access to it, and then all of a sudden the program expires, what's going to happen in 2028? And so there's some thoughts on that. But at least this is under Trump, right?
Yeah.
This is a Trump initiative, and this is one of the things I would tip my hat at, because I think let's at least try.
Absolutely. And often. So I'll give you my example. So I was on Milwaukee Weight Loss, lost the weight, and I've been in maintenance, which is basically I just watch what I eat. Still try to get 10,000 steps a day, still do a lot of stuff outside. But because it sort of resets your body, you can do things that you weren't able to do before. So even on GLP-1, if you lose the weight, and some people, I know someone that lost 100 pounds, it's a game changer because now you can walk again. Now you can go hiking or even do even more adventurous stuff.
Well, and it's interesting. Well, let's take a break. I actually would be interested for our listeners as far as now that this is a more affordable option, knowing that there are some concerns as far as you don't want to take drugs for the rest of your life, or there are symptoms as far as what it does to your digestive system and some side effects that are not always.
Are you talking about constipation?
Well, yeah, because it makes you feel full, right? I've talked to some people who are on it who, even after months of being on it, are still dealing with side effects. And so, would you take this? As far as if you're on Medicare already, if you're about to be on Medicare, if you're of the age where this could be an option, are you interested in taking advantage of this program to be on a GLP-1 for $50 a month? 855-616-1620. Let us know your thoughts on this and if you would raise your hand.
Yeah.
Then we'll talk about it after this. I'm Kristen. He's Steve. We'll be right back.
Fireworks Nation Superstore Lomira has the biggest bang for your buck. Get 60% off specials, instant rewards, and our no-dud guarantee. Experience Fireworks Nation's huge showroom. Truly one of a kind in Wisconsin and worth your drive. Save big money on fireworks. Fireworks Nation Superstore. Highway 41 and 67 across from Piggly Wiggly, Lomira. Fireworks Nation Superstore. Save big money on fireworks. Fireworksnation.com. Fireworks Nation Superstore Lomira has the biggest bang for your buck. Get 60% off specials, instant rewards, and our no-dud guarantee. Experience Fireworks Nation's huge showroom. Truly one of a kind in Wisconsin and worth your drive. Save big money on fireworks. Fireworks Nation Superstore. Highway 41 and 67 across from Piggly Wiggly, Lomira. Fireworks Nation Superstore. Save big money on fireworks. Fireworksnation.com.
A buck doesn't buy much unless you're spending it at Griffin. For just $1 over cost, you can buy brand new tires from us. This is Jim Griffin. Any major brand, $1 over our cost with free tire repair and lifetime rotation. We'll even show you the invoice to prove it. Our only requirements, we put them on for you. Buy one or the whole set. The dollar deal from Griffin. Milwaukee and Waukesha. Griffin. The buck stops here, but the deals on tires don't. That's Griffin.
Not combinable with other tire offers. Shopping for new windows and doors shouldn't feel like a negotiation. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin doesn't believe in games. They never inflate pricing, and there's no high-pressure sales pitch. Just premium windows and doors built for long-term comfort, beauty, and peace of mind. Buy direct through Pella, and one trusted team handles everything with Pella-certified installers every step of the way. Real pricing, premium quality, no games.
Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin. Schedule your free in-home consultation today at PellaWI.com.
There's an amazing supper club in Wisconsin Dells, Ish Nala, nestled among the pines and perched above the sandstone bluffs of Mirror Lake. The beauty, the history, the service, the food, the fun. Hi, this is Bob Prosser, owner of Ish Nala Supper Club in Wisconsin Dells. I've been a part of Ish Nala since 1973, and I am so proud to continue the tradition that began in 1953. Why not enjoy a brandy old-fashioned in one of our bars, each with a spectacular view overlooking Mirror Lake, or just relax before or after dinner on one of our outdoor decks. Our Ish Nala chefs have prepared your favorites: 24-ounce ribeye, cold water lobster tails, North Atlantic salmon, and of course, Ish Nala's roast duck. Thank you for making Ish Nala Wisconsin's favorite supper club, where the only thing we overlook is Mirror Lake. I'm Bob Prosser, and I want to serve you.
Medicare program is now for a $50 copay, allowing for a trial period going through the end of 2027 for many people who are obese. Can't be a vanity project, can't because you want to lose 10 pounds or 15 pounds if you're not, don't have the BMI measured over 30. But it's a game changer. You mentioned this, and I do give credit to the Trump administration for pushing this, because I think this is something that long-term, there's still a lot of stuff to be figured out, long-term data, what it does to your brain, right? Because it definitely impacts your brain as far as your appetites.
Well, it's not only that; it's also we had a doctor come on and talk about
Yes,
this.
we
But as
did.
far as I
From
forgot
Marquette.
if it's the dopamine center, because they also have seen things as far as it curbs your interest in drinking and other vices like gambling and what's one of the other ones that it said but it also I think can change your personality. Like we had a friend who it was more of a vanity project because he's a younger guy, but is a big partier, we'll put it that way. And he was taking it and he did lose weight, and his longtime partner said she hated him on it because she didn't hate him, but because it dampened his personality. Like some of his spark and this life of the party guy was just the volume was turned down a little bit.
Interesting. I hadn't heard that side of
and
it.
he was less interested. He would get, a couple drinks and was not interested, which maybe is healthy in the long run. But it was interesting as far as his long-term girlfriend being like, I don't like his personality when he's on it. I think there are other side effects. We already had someone text in saying they wouldn't take it because of the side effects. You said you had a friend who some of the digestive stuff is it's not worth it. And so it's not a perfect drug as far as what it does to your brain, your personality, some of how it makes your body feel. But it does have other positive externalities beyond just losing weight for some of the other things like drinking, gambling, risk-seeking behavior, potentially.
So one of my friends reminded me that it also, in some weird way, makes arthritis less painful.
Is that because you're losing weight?
I guess.
Or is it something actually to do with your joints?
If you're a physician out there that knows that area of the human body, I'd love to hear why that would be. But look, I get the side effect stuff, and a lot of the texters are saying, I wouldn't do it because of the side effect. How many drugs other drugs for other things also have side effects? You work through that stuff with your physician. It's not like you just give up. And I would argue that so many people that are obese have so many other more significant health problems because of their obesity. Why would you not at least try this if it's affordable? A lot of people saying also that they would do it just the old-fashioned way. Well, if you can do that, go ahead.
Well, you did, right?
Yeah. Walk, eat less. I'll tell you a funny story. So I'm out for weird circumstances. We were out to dinner Thursday night, Saturday night, and Sunday night. Family, old friends.
You're as social as I am.
I know. And I had a lot of wine in that period.
Ooh,
so
okay.
But I didn't gain weight, so that's a positive. So we're you talk at dinner and you notice what people do and don't do. And a common theme at both a high-end restaurant they were at and sort of a more casual dining is a bread basket. And to a person, everyone maybe had a little piece of bread, and we're all talking. It's like our age group, we don't eat bread like we used to. We shy away because it's one of the easiest ways to gain weight. Bread, pasta, easy rule of trying to lose weight. Less sugar, less bread, less pasta. You'll lose 10 pounds in about a month just doing that.
Less booze.
So I just thought it was funny because that was the first thing that we used to hit hard when we were younger. I love bread, trust me. I used to bake bread, my grandma's recipe. But I'll go a month or two without having a slice of bread. I don't miss it. But that's a conscious decision that a lot of older adults to a person in our small gatherings are making now. And that's not a drug. That's just a change of habit, change of eating, change of diet. It's a fascinating look at what's happening to our culture. I think people are paying attention. We always talk and hammer the fact that we're obese. But I think people are starting to understand, one, they don't want to die young because they're obese and have all these other issues. But two, they want to look better. They want to feel better. They want to wear clothes that aren't tight, And I think that's a reality for my age group. I mean, you're slim, so you don't have the same challenges that the rest of us have. But you're not always going to be slim. You could have those issues.
Oh, I mean, yeah, certainly. As far as I trust me, there is the double-edged sword of being naturally thin is you don't have the vanity reasons to always treat your body well. Right? And I was complaining this morning. It's like I have not necessarily been treating my body well because of just the pace of everything, to being too social and just eating easy, fast, crappy food lately. And I'm certainly feeling it in my body. But it's not like I don't have the same weight gain motivator that I think is a motivator for a lot of people to eat differently. But I just need to actually, I'm going to do a juice cleanse these next couple of days.
That's a funny argument, though. So you're the opposite. You're thin, so you just don't control some of the stuff that you actually want to control.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm also impulsive. I mean, there's also some signs with like ADHD and like the dopamine of like sugar.
Don't self-diagnose.
What do you mean?
ADHD.
Oh, that's not self-diagnosis.
Oh.
I've been diagnosed with that for.
I say that because somebody sent me a letter the other day that don't say you have things unless your doctor.
No, I've long time.
Yeah. All right.
Runs in the family.
We're learning a lot about Kristen today and her habits, personal habits. All right, we'll take a break. Point taken.
AccuNet Mortgage is an equal housing lender. NMLS ID 255368.
This is Brian Wickert, owner of Wisconsin's own AccuNet Mortgage. I get that most home shoppers just go with their bank when it comes to getting pre-approved, but that's probably a mistake because banks have a lot of overhead like branches, fancy headquarters, and layers of management. That means their closing costs are typically $1,000 to $3,000 higher than AccuNet's for exactly the same rate. And that's not all. Bank pre-approval letters are usually weak and unconvincing, especially compared to AccuNet's rock-solid, fully verified pre-approval that provides a $2,000 guarantee to you and the seller. Our senior loan consultants will also look at every possible way to strengthen your offer and pre-approval in the eyes of that seller, especially if you're offering over the asking price. We even call the listing agent to reinforce what a great buyer you are. Banks don't do all that. Click on the blue button today at AccuNet.com and let our passionate mortgage pros help you win while you save a bunch of money, too. That's ACCUNET.com.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group, and I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney, and the truth is I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. After 15 years and over 50,000 cancellations, I can tell you with confidence, we know how to get you out of your timeshare. Call us today and we'll send you our timeshare exit guide absolutely free with all your options for cancellation. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767. 800-838-6767.
Prizes, flyaways, even cash money. You want it? We've got it. Find a list of all contests and official rules by visiting WTMJ.com/contests.
That's WTMJ.com/contests.
100 years ago, Bayview Shade & Blind opened its doors with a commitment to craftsmanship and care. Today, that same family spirit lives on in every home we serve. I'm Daniel Pahalski, one of the third-generation owners of Bayview Shade & Blind. We want to say thank you to the families and businesses who've supported us for 100 years.
Sharing a little sunshine for 100 years. Bayview Shade & Blind.
Keeping you updated on culture and creativity.
What's on Tap with Sandy Max.
The sights, the sounds, the smells, and the smiles of Summerfest.
In almost 40 years, we've only missed maybe 2.
Wow.
We have a tradition. Every year we buy the lineup t-shirt. We don't have enough drawers in the house anymore. Someday they'll become a quilt.
This is the best part of the summer for all of us. This is the spark that got me into loving music.
What's on Tap, weeknights at 6 on WTMJ. And the What's on Tap podcast on WTMJ.com. WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
Oh, it's on. We got a heat wave this week, so be careful out there. Texter says, how about curing cancer instead of pouring resources into weight loss? I looked it up. There's a link between obesity and cancer. Increased excess body weight increases your risk of cancer across 13 specific types by 10%. So everything's connected. You know, having a healthy body probably reduces the risk for a lot of different things. Blood pressure, which can kill you in a moment, right? If your blood pressure gets too low or out of whack. So I think what I like about this, a couple things. One, the political piece. I like the fact that the president's thinking about this stuff. 2, let's start thinking about the long-term health of all of us, old, young, whatever it is, and be willing to use our science to make people feel better about themselves and more importantly, be healthy.
Well, and there's also, because we only have 20 seconds, an entire other conversation about this as far as our food systems, our walkability.
Yeah.
Like there's all these other things that when you, as someone who's traveled a lot, go to another country and you're like, I ate pasta every day in Italy and yet I still lost weight. It is also because of how they've set up their society and access to fruits, vegetables, and walking that is very different than what it is here. That also leads to obesity.
There's a vast difference in their food overseas than our food. And there's a lot of reasons for that, and we don't have the time to do it, but significantly, trust me, the food tastes amazing over there. All right, after the break, Annex Wealth Management, Brian Jacobson, Chief Economic Strategist. Lots to talk about. We'll do it after the news, which is next.
WTMJ's Julia Fellow here. If you've listened to me for any length of time, you know I value staying active and feeling my best. That is why I trust Jens Family Chiropractic in Germantown. Dr. Jens and his entire team are helping me with my lower back issue and headaches. My journey with them includes adjustments, dry needling, and soft wave therapy. I have an entire routine I'm now doing at home, and I feel better, I'm moving better, and can stay focused on the things that matter most. Whether you are dealing with back pain, neck pain, headaches, the team at Jens Family Chiropractic takes the time to understand what is going on and creates a specialized treatment plan just for you. Now is the time. Discover why many families, including mine, trust Jens. Learn more at jensfamilychiropractic.com. That's jensfamilychiropractic.com. Experience the difference at Jens Family Chiropractic.
Struggling to provide for your family is a real thing, like having to choose between feeding them a warm meal or paying the utility bill. These are the choices many Milwaukee residents are faced with, which is why they turn to St. Vincent de Paul Society's meal program for help. Our meal program has been a consistent resource for those in need for over 42 years. Nutritious meals, warm showers, and clean clothes, all in a safe, family-friendly environment. Our mission is clear, and that's to help you break the cycle of poverty by connecting you with life-changing community and educational resources. Last year, we provided $2.2 million in goods and services, plus 57,000 warm meals. If you or anyone you know needs a warm evening meal, you can find us at Harambe Kitchen 5 nights a week on the northeast side of Milwaukee in the basement of All People's Church. And at Crossroads Kitchen on the south side of Milwaukee 6 nights a week on 9th and Madison. As always, we're grateful for community members and volunteers who help us help you. To learn more, visit svdpmilw.org.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at progressive.com.
When your car or truck needs service, you should take it to a specialist. I'm Deb Cruz, president of the Auto Dealers Association of Mega Milwaukee. Adam member new car dealers have factory warranted parts, the latest diagnostic equipment, and certified manufacturer technicians. Plus, their prices are low or lower than independent shops, even on routine things like oil changes and tire service. Knowing all that, why would you ever consider going anywhere other than an Adam member dealer?
Transform your home today. Exterior Pros. Trust the pros.
When the dust settles, only one team will be seeing red.
0-2 pitch. Struck him out with a changeup. That was filthy.
The Brewers take on the Reds tonight at American Family Field.
Swing and a miss. That's strike two, and that one was at 102.
Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts at 6:05. We are the home of the Brewers. 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
11 o'clock, 84 degrees. That extreme heat warning starts in an hour. Mostly sunny today, breezy, very humid, high 94. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. We'll get to the weather in just a minute. First, a busy day at the Supreme Court. Today, the court ruling to uphold a Mississippi law that gives people a grace period to have their mail-in votes count. The ruling also paves the way for similar laws to be upheld in dozens of other states. Here's ABC's Devin Dwyer.
A number of voting advocates I had talked to were particularly concerned that if the ruling went the other way, it could disenfranchise voters in rural areas, disabled voters, those sorts of things. But this now means that those policies will stay in place unless Congress takes some action in the near future to change them and put some limits on what states can do.
The decision 5-4 with conservative Amy Coney Barrett writing for the majority. Supreme Court also ruling on a case involving President Trump's executive power. Federal Reserve Board member Lisa Cook being allowed to remain on the job for now. President Trump had attempted to fire Cook over allegations of mortgage fraud. Her lawyers had argued Trump did not have the authority to do so. New round of talks between the U.S. and Iran may take place this week in Qatar. This comes after a tense weekend of back-and-forth strikes between the two countries.
President Trump wrote on social media this morning that Iran has requested a meeting with the U.S. He says that will take place Tuesday in Doha, Qatar. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said on Fox News later that the president's special envoy Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner will represent the U.S. at this meeting, and that these talks are in addition to the ongoing technical negotiations between the two countries. Leavitt said the Witkoff-Kushner meetings will be focused on the memo of understanding signed by the two countries 2 weeks ago. She said as far as the Trump administration is concerned, the U.S. is holding up its end of the ceasefire, but said, quote, violence will be met with violence. Karen Travers, ABC News, the White House.
We're an hour away from an extreme heat warning. Storm Team 4 meteorologist Brendan Johnson says the humidity will push temps well into the 90s.
In terms of heat index values, triple-digit heat a possibility near the lakefront. We may avoid the worst of the heat, and then this is all going to repeat as we roll into Tuesday as well.
That heat warning running through 7 p.m. tomorrow. If you need a place to cool down, there are cooling sites in the Milwaukee area that you can go
While
to.
Southeast Wisconsin experiences a major heat warning, air-conditioned spaces are open at every Milwaukee Public Library branch, along with county senior centers. Residents can also cool off at Milwaukee County pools, splash pads, water parks, and beaches, though some locations may charge admission or have limited hours. Health officials recommend staying indoors when possible, drinking plenty of water, and checking on older adults and neighbors during the dangerous heat. Nicer Spencer, WTMJ News.
If you're looking to escape the heat at the beach, Lake Michigan requires some extra caution today.
The National Weather Service is warning about a high risk of rip currents in Sheboygan and Ozaukee counties until 10 p.m. Waves there could reach 4 to 6 feet, with currents that can be dangerous even for strong swimmers. Milwaukee and Racine counties are under a moderate risk. Swimmers are encouraged to stay near a lifeguard, and if you do get caught in a rip current, it's best to stay calm and float or swim parallel to the shoreline. Jessica Gatso, WTMJ News.
Giannis Antetokounmpo's impact on Milwaukee goes far beyond basketball. As the Bucks move into a new era, Milwaukee Business Journal editor-in-chief Timothy Gibbons says the team's biggest loss may be its global reach.
The Bucks were one of 2 NBA organizations who really leaned into this international branding sort of thing. They had an executive based overseas who worked on sponsorships and things like that. You go to the NBA store in Times Square, and there's a big Milwaukee Bucks display because for international visitors, he's somebody they know. It is a loss both for the organization, and I think you could say for Milwaukee overall.
Gibbons says Antetokounmpo's departure will impact ticket sales as well. Time for news about your money with the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 222 points, NASDAQ up 365, S&P 500 up 61. Financial planning at every level, Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Sports, traffic, and weather up next. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:04.
Meet Jim and Rita.
We went on a motorcycle trip.
But somewhere in Wyoming, Jim and Rita were in a serious accident.
They blocked off the interstate and everything and took us to the hospital.
Sometime later, Rita made a discovery.
She had noticed that the bracelet was gone. And I asked the trooper, is there a chance we can go out there and see if it's still there?
And amazingly,
he found a couple of pieces
It was only 2 tiny links of the bracelet.
Jim was determined to buy Rita another bracelet from Kessler's. And I had my checkbook in my hand. But when he arrived there, and I said, okay, how much? And she says, that's part of our warranty. Jim and Rita discovered the Kessler's miraculous, no small print warranty. It's just amazing that you guys do this.
And it's true.
If you bought it at Kessler's, it's guaranteed. It's just that simple.
It surely is miraculous.
Read the Kessler's miraculous, no small print warranty yourself at Kessler'sDiamonds.com.
Is your life stuck in constant stress mode? Headaches, poor sleep, constant tension. Vince Vitrano for Connect Chiropractic, my team that can help, not just mask symptoms, but find the root cause. Connect Chiro specializes in neurologically focused chiropractic care, helping your nervous system function the way it's designed so your body can heal, adapt, and perform at its best. Helping our community live healthier, more energized lives. Go ConnectChiro.com.
This summer, celebrate our nation's 250th birthday by giving a little time back to your community. Visit volunteerwisconsin.org to find volunteering opportunities with organizations that are making a difference near you. Visit volunteerwisconsin.org or get in touch with your local United Way or volunteer center to find your way to get involved. Volunteerwisconsin.org is hosted by United Way of Wisconsin and Serve Wisconsin. Paid for by United Way of Wisconsin.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update from the Gruber Law Office's One Call That's All Sports Desk. Brewers came up short after falling to the Chicago Cubs 4-3 in 10 innings at American Family Field. Milwaukee's dropped back-to-back games and will host the Cincinnati Reds for a 4-game set that starts tonight. Team Canada opened the knockout stage of the World Cup with a 1-0 win over South Africa from Inglewood, Canada's first knockout match victory in World Cup history. The round of 32 continues with 3 more matches today. Taking a look at the roads now with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. I-43 north at the ramp from Lapham, the right shoulder blocked due to a disabled vehicle out west in Dane County. 94 west, about 7.5 miles beyond the ramp from Wisconsin 89. We do have a left lane there blocked due to a crash. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. That extreme heat warning starts at noon. Sunny, breezy, humid today with a high 94. Muggy and warm overnight with a low 76. The extreme heat warning continues tomorrow until 7 p.m. We could see a heat index over 100 degrees. Tuesday's high 95. Chance of storms to the north in central Wisconsin. Chance for us later in the day, but mainly in the north counties. Sunny with high heat and humidity again on Wednesday. Wednesday's high 96. Slight chance of storms Thursday, high of 95, and a chance of storms again on Friday with a high of 91. 83 in Madison, 79 in Green Bay, 84 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:08.
The work week is here. Let's begin with your Monday market preview with Annex Wealth Management Chief Economic Strategist, Dr. Brian Jacobson on Point Taken.
Brian Jacobson, Chief Economic Strategist. How are you doing this Monday morning?
Fantastic. I'm loving the air conditioning today.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the common refrain all of this week if you're lucky enough to be inside. It's like being in Texas in the summer. All right, so some breaking news as far as the United States Supreme Court deciding that President Trump cannot fire federal Governor Lisa Cook from the Fed. And they can. I mean, this is on the other side of it from other agencies. And we were talking about this with our friend Jim Santel, who's going to join us later, as far as what this means as far as the two split decisions as far as who the president can fire. But what is your big takeaway as far as what happened with the Supreme Court and Lisa Cook?
Yeah, thanks for having me. And it's really interesting as far as this whole saga as it relates to Lisa Cook, and not too surprised by the outcome. But this does give President Trump kind of an opportunity to try again, but it has to be for cause, and it can't just be because, right? I think that's one of the key things is that it does say that the Federal Reserve is a very unique institution. Its independence needs to be protected, and the Supreme Court is really stepping in and saying, yes, we are also going to protect that because that was the congressional intent, right? So the Supreme Court isn't coming out and creating new law. They are really, I think in this case, the rationale that I read through, trying to decipher what was congressional intent and trying to apply that. And so we'll have to see if this is indeed done. That's going to be up to probably President Trump. But for now, it seems seems like, the independence of that institution is being protected.
And you would argue, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that independence is a good thing from politics.
Yes. So that is hotly debated. Some people are like, well, no, they should collaborate more. And I think that in terms of one way to think about it is that the Fed as an institution should be insulated, right? Not independent in the sense that they can just do whatever they want whenever they want. No, it should be insulated, though, from whatever the political winds of the moment are so that they can make better long-term decisions as it relates to monetary policy. But there are plenty of other things that the Fed does that are subject to political influence as far as regulation. Also, let's face it, in terms of what is their objective, that's given to them by Congress, the full employment, stable prices, moderate long-term interest rates. So to say that they're independent might be kind of overstating it, but I prefer to think about it in terms of them being insulated, and that is generally a good thing.
And during the break, I was reading some of the commentary from some of the justices, and Justice Kavanaugh said basically one of the concerns he had about this attempt to just willy-nilly fire people is adding more uncertainty into in somewhat a shaky economic system. I think that's something that a lot of people were paying attention to, that comment.
Yeah, that is an interesting comment. I don't oftentimes like it when Supreme Court justices opine on current economic conditions and that as a rationale. Exactly. It's like, hey, you have your lane. Let's try to stay in it. And maybe that's just one of the arguments. I think that it's more what is the based upon the legislation, based on the Constitution, based upon precedent. What should they come to? Not based upon what's the current rate of unemployment or current rate of anxiety amongst consumers.
So speaking of that, moving to labor market data and what it means for the Fed Reserve policy, we're getting new jobs numbers on Thursdays. Any predictions or indicators of what we can expect?
I'm expecting that it's going to show a decent pace of job creation, but not as rapid as what we have seen for the last 3 months in a row. The trailing 3-month average is around like 180,000, which is a very good pace of job creation, especially after the big drop in job creation in February. So some of this is a bounce back. But most of the near-term indicators, like ADP, they produce a weekly report. You also have a number of other ones from like Indeed, LinkedIn. They are pointing towards continued job gains. Most importantly for the outlook, it seems as though it's more smaller businesses and also manufacturing. It's not just highly concentrated in healthcare and schools doing all the job creation. That's great that they create jobs in healthcare and in schools, but you would like to see a little bit broader base, and it seems as though that is indeed what we're getting.
Well, and at one point I had read as far as job security, job growth, obviously healthcare is always the top line, but tourism and service industry and hospitality had been in there because of the World Cup.
Sure.
Now, with the World Cup being over halfway through July, is there going to be layoffs in that sector? Or is that something that will hold even after a world event being hosted in America?
Such a good question. It's one of the reasons why historically, after like a World Cup or an Olympics, you do oftentimes see an economic slowdown in the host countries and the host areas, is because it does create this, the infrastructure build out. Now, we didn't have to build out all the infrastructure because you already had the stadiums in place and that. Also plenty of hotels. It did result, though, in a pickup in the hiring, much more so than what you typically see. So we do see that increase in hiring during the summertime, but this was like above and beyond. But that wasn't the only source of job creation. So we are likely going to see more and bigger layoffs in those areas than what you would typically see as you get into like August and September. But not to the point where I think that it's going to really kind of raise the red flag of possible recession. Okay. Other countries, it's a little bit different, where they are much more smaller economies, more exposed to tourism. Thankfully, the U.S. economy is a lot more diverse than that.
Chief Economic Strategist at Annex Wealth Management, Brian Jacobson, joining us. I was listening to the show on Saturday, Brian, along with Dave. Did he use the term tech wreck or something like that, a variation on that theme?
That's right, yeah. It is a great rhyme, and it is about what has been going on.
So let's hold that thought, because I want to come back to that, because it caught my attention when I was driving around listening to that. We'll get that explanation of what that means and what the concerns are. Maybe even mention Bitcoin, which, by the way, is down 31% in the last year to date. So what's going on with all of that stuff with Brian Jacobson, with Chris, and with Steve? Point taken.
The stories you're talking about on Wisconsin's Morning News.
Since Packers running back Josh Jacobs was arrested and booked into the Brown County Jail, it has been 30 days since he was released from jail, with no charges being filed. I cannot tell you today whether said pursuit is still ongoing, or whether even if it isn't, because DA Lissay's office won't get back to me. I also reached out to the attorneys for Josh Jacobs. They didn't get back to me, which I think is curious. Now, they don't have to, but I thought they'd want to put the heat on the DA, say, hey, clear our guy. Right. Say you're not going to charge him.
Only here on WTMJ.
Hey, it's WTMJ. Steve Scavini was talking about it earlier. Milwaukee weight loss. It's the secret. Worked for me. It can work for you. To losing weight fast. 1 pound of fat every day. Their doctor-developed, easy-to-follow weight loss program. It's fast. It's natural and safe with no drugs or injections with the risk of serious side effects, which we were talking about earlier. None of the prepackaged stuff as well. Their program helps reset your metabolism. You start making better choices about food, when you eat, how you look at food, and more importantly, how you think about your body and its health. All part of a great program which costs half as much and works up to twice as fast as most of the other programs. Go to MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com, schedule your free consultation. I've talked about my 50-pound journey. I'm on my next phase to lose 15 to get to my college weight. I'm going to do it. You know I will do it. And I'll trumpet Milwaukee Weight Loss, and I'm going to even make it even sweeter for you. For a limited time only. $200 off their summer special. Book your free consultation at MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. That's MilwaukeeWeightLoss.com. Results may vary.
Are you ready to answer the call of the wild? From the sweeping plains of the Serengeti to majestic Victoria Falls, our 2027 guided Fox Group vacations with African travel are ready to book. Witness the Great Migration, track the Big Five in South Africa, or explore the breathtaking landscapes of Tanzania. At Fox World Travel, we curate deeply meaningful journeys that connect you with the heart of Africa. Space for these bucket list safaris is limited and filling fast. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call 866-GO-FOX-GO to start your journey today.
Welcome back to Point Taken. I'm Kristen Bry along with Steve Scafidi, and we are talking to Brian Jacobson, Chief Economic Strategist over at Annex Wealth Management. All right, I did not hear the show, your guys' show, on Saturday, but apparently there's a new term called tech wreck.
Yeah, it's a great rhyme, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what caught my attention.
And it is descriptive of what people, I think, are fearing is going on. You see what happened back in October. Software stocks, especially anybody related to the concept of like software as a service, thinking Anthropic's going to eat everybody's lunch. And then lately, in terms of you see what's going on with chips and memory, some of the memory makers doing really well. But look at what's going on in Korea. Some of them, it's like these big swings. So on any given day, it can look like a train wreck. But I think that it's important to remember, if we just rewind back to the end of March, how far things have moved upwards for a lot of technology stocks. And it is a broad group. So this past week, it was one of those situations where some names were really off. Think about like Apple and Microsoft. Apple announcing that they were going to be increasing the price of their iPads and their Macs because of the high cost of the chips and the memory. And their stock went down as a result. But there are others that went up as a result, right? So it really depends upon what you're focusing on. A broadly diversified portfolio. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, one particular theme or anything like that. And that could be a way to maybe dial down the temperature a little bit in terms of some of the volatility.
I'm curious, behind the scenes, the reason you talk about tech in the way they do, one, it's such a big player in the markets, but two, people are curious about it, and everyone talks about AI and all the things the amazing things that we do with compute skills now. It's got to be on everyone's mind, including investors, Brian.
Oh, it really is, as far as how it can disrupt industries and individual companies. And I think that's really the key, is which industries will it disrupt? Is it going to disrupt all of them? Well, then which specific companies might benefit? Which ones are going to pay the price? What's it going to do to market leadership? And that's part of what, as investors, what we try to do on a regular basis is try to answer those questions. When I kind of look at what's been going on with AI and with memory chips, or with the chips and then also with the memory, It's actually beginning to show up in like consumer prices. Apple announcing their price increases. But even before that, when we look at information processing equipment, so like computers and technology at the consumer level, this isn't just the big companies, what they're paying for those data centers. What are you paying for your devices? According to the Bureau of Economic Analysis, those prices are up more than 10% from a year ago. Right, so that's becoming actually a source of inflation. Most of us have been focusing on price at the pump, that being the source of inflation. But now it's actually, technology can be a source of inflation, at least initially, until they get through some of these bottlenecks. And you can see some of the technological, in terms of improved performance, productivity gains. So there might be a little bit of the pain before you get the longer term gains.
All right. So then Steve also mentioned that Bitcoin is down 31% year to date. And so what is kind of what is the reason for that? And then across the board, because we know that the Trump administration, especially his Trump's sons, very invested in different types of crypto. Mm-hmm. And so while Bitcoin might be down, are there other ones that are doing well, or kind of what is the 10,000 foot view of, or 30,000 foot? Is that what it is? 30,000 foot view of crypto right now.
Yeah, we can go maybe 5,000 foot view as well as far as some of the details. Because even some of those, like the Trump family sponsored ones, aren't doing very well. It just seems as though a lot of people have lost some enthusiasm for the idea of some of these coins and tokens. Now, maybe some of those people who were investing in, let's just say, Bitcoin, perhaps they have become much more enamored with the shiny new object of artificial intelligence. And so as a result, what we've seen with these exchange traded funds, so it's an easy way for a lot of people to trade these different types of coins, we have seen outflows from there. And I think that can help explain why it is that the price has fallen, is that there's a new shinier toy that people are more focused on. It's called artificial intelligence, and it's just sucking some of the money out of Bitcoin and others and putting it into a different part of the market.
All right, before we let you go, Brian, anything else you're looking forward to this week?
Oh, yes. Well, looking forward to on Thursday, we're going to be getting the non-farm payrolls number. So that's going to be really interesting, showing perhaps some of that job creation slowdown. Key thing that I'm watching for, though, wage growth. 3.4% year over year is normally a good number, but that's only if you have like 2% inflation. Right. We've had 4.2. So I think that's going to be a really key data point to watch.
I was also just going to ask, as you mentioned the new shiny object, what are we 2 weeks out since the IPO of SpaceX?
Yeah, that's right.
How's it doing 2 weeks out?
Well, 2 weeks out, it's been a roller coaster, right? It went up and then it's come back down, entering into the NASDAQ and the Russell indices, I think, as of July 11th. So that's coming up. But it's entering at a very small weight, only about 1%. So even if you are following one of those indexes, an index fund, you don't have to worry about it being dominated by a volatile stock.
Okay.
Chief Economic Strategist for Annex Wealth Management, one of our great partners here at 620 WTMJ. Thank you, Brian, as always.
Thank you.
Have a great rest of your week. We'll take a quick break here. Kristen and Steve on Point Taken Monday edition.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
A great way to add value and curb appeal to your home is with a new LiftMaster or CHI maintenance-free garage door. Hey, it's WTMJ's Greg Matzik. A study by Remodelers Magazine reports that the average return on investment is an amazing 82%. Garage doors rank first among all home improvement projects. To see Geis's huge selection of doors, visit their showroom in Brookfield, or you can also visit their online showroom at geisdoors.com. Geis has everything from alley doors to custom wood designer doors and everything in between. Remember, for all your garage door needs, you call Geis at 262-784-4250. That number again, 262-784-4250. It's Geis. Visit them online at geisdoors.com.
Don't think twice. Call Geis.
Dave Spano, CEO of Annex Wealth Management, a fee-only fiduciary.
Fee-only fiduciary really further separates the folks that either say fiduciary some of the time or best interests altogether. And it's not just that alone. It is, of course, everything else that we can bring to the table that just isn't asset management. It is estate planning, tax planning, financial planning, all of it wrapped together in one transparent fee.
Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management? Click the Get Started button at annexwealth.com.
This message reaches 1 million people or more every week. Spreading the gospel is more than one voice speaking to 1 million. It is and must continue to be 1 million voices, each speaking to one, pointing them to our friend Jesus.
The Lutheran Hour with Dr. Michael Ziegler.
The Lutheran Hour, Sunday mornings at 6:30 on WTMJ.
Are you looking for a welcoming place to unwind? Vince Vitrano here. Our family found a home at Racine Country Club. Premier golf on the historic championship course, rolling terrain, famously fast greens, tight fairways, and scenic Root River views. Work your game year-round with indoor simulators, hitting bays, top-notch practice facilities, and leagues for every level. Plus, at Racine Country Club, you enjoy elevated dining, swimming, and a full calendar of family-friendly events. Join me on the course at Racine Country Club, racinecountryclub.com.
Hey, this is WTMJ Steve Scafidi. Have you listened to WTMJ Outdoors yet? Well, what are you waiting for? Every Saturday at 2 right here on 620 WTMJ. Stories of the outdoors of Wisconsin and beyond as we celebrate everything in recreation. This week, we're talking to Pat Guyette, Huntstock, Wisconsin. Great event coming up July 17th to the 19th. Dodge County Fairgrounds at Beaver Dam, Wisconsin. Legendary hunters. Great outdoors events.
It's WTMJ Outdoors, presented by Outdoor Living Unlimited.
Summer breeze makes Seals and Crofts. It's from my era, late 70s, early 80s.
You got any more Summerfest in you?
I might go once, just in the.
It's gonna be hot, but
yeah. Well, we'll see. I kept this weekend open because I've been doing stuff, a lot of projects, and you saw one of my projects I worked on this weekend, which turned out great. And I love thinking about something for a couple months and then doing it all in one day. So what you saw was started with bunch of pile of boards and it ended up a potter's bench for my.
It looks great.
Yeah,
you're very good at that. Were you always good at that? Were you always handy with like woodworking?
Self-taught. It's just you gotta start thinking about stuff when you retire. You have to have things. As my wife says, you have to think about something to keep you busy.
That's true.
This is me saying this. Ain't gonna be me or her in that case.
She's not gonna keep you busy. Is what she's saying.
Oh, she's got her own stuff to do. She's for someone that's been retired since 2020. She's very busy.
But she's also.
She still teaches part-time.
I was going to say, she's still doing some stuff. It's not like she's just sitting at home.
No. She's always doing something, which is good. It keeps your mind sharp. All right, a couple things. Want to mention the newsletter came out yesterday. Looked brilliant. Great. You always package it at the end of the week, which I love. It's a team effort. It highlights a lot of stuff we do. Just text the word EXTRA, EXTRA, sign up.
I actually should set up the survey. I should see how many more people took the survey now that we weren't asking for them to tell on themselves as far as their screen time. But we asked, since we talked to Aaron Kelly from Kelly's Greens on Friday, and today, again, if you were someone who is interested in keeping hemp products available in Wisconsin, there is the Save Hemp rally today. I think I'm going to stop by it. But I had asked on our survey this week feelings about hemp staying legal or hemp products staying legal in Wisconsin, what we should do about recreational marijuana, medicinal marijuana.
That's always a hot
I also
topic.
asked people their own personal intake of said products. So
I didn't see that part of it.
Oh, did you not take the?
I didn't take the survey. No.
Do you take any kind of Delta 8, like sleeping gummies, anything?
No. I'm kind of a low meds guy.
Low meds guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hard work, move around.
Yeah. So this weekend's it was a solid. You actually did my recommendation. Didn't you say you watched What the Constitution Means to Me?
I did.
What'd you think?
Obviously from a woman's perspective, but
obviously from a woman's perspective.
And then after I watched it, I actually went back and looked at some of the reviews very well.
Did it make you think about anything differently?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always in that weird thing where like I'm an old white guy, and she mentions old white guys almost at the beginning of her little talk. In that case, an extreme example of rape, which no one wants to hear about, right? But obviously something that women face. So it's a different perspective, but old white guy talking about women's issues, I will tread carefully on all that stuff, but I understand why she says those things, and I think she raises a lot of interesting points. And it takes us back to what we're going to talk about on the podcast with Bill and Joe Thursday, which will then be aired on the weekend, I believe.
Aired on the weekend.
Yeah, it's sort of America 250, but looking at the constitutional pieces and every 50 years, like what this country was talking about, what were we doing, were we making progress? And I guess the big question is 250 years later, are we making the right kind of progress to make everyone's lives easier? That's a fascinating question and a deep question because, some people would say no.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question is because a lot. So for context, what the Constitution means to me is almost a one-woman show. There's some actors in it, written and performed originally by a writer actress who grew up doing these American Legion. Heidi Shriek.
It's something like
Shrekky. And it's great. You can watch it at Amazon Prime, and it's actually a dream role. If I were to ever get to like the time and bandwidth to act, I would love to do that show. But it was just an interesting, as far as we are, a different look at the Constitution.
Yeah.
And like I think it is an interesting question as far as who does the Constitution protect? The bleeding edge of it protecting more people. And I think right now when we look at where we are we expanding or contracting as far as who is protected under the Constitution?
Yeah, it's always, to me, a healthy thing to look at other people's viewpoints on things and then assess your own. All right, we'll take a break for local news with Connie Weber. Here's our latest from ABC.
ABC News, I'm Mike Dubusky. A mix of decisions from the Supreme Court this morning ruling against President Trump's attempt to fire Fed Governor Lisa Cook, but also saying the president does have the ability to fire heads of independent agencies like the FTC. Meanwhile, the court has also upheld state laws allowing late-arriving mail-in ballots to be counted if they're postmarked by Election Day. It marks a loss for the Trump administration.
It is a victory, though, for voters and for the states who have provisions that include these grace periods. A number of states have those provisions. It has certainly been a major issue so far in the midterm elections and the primaries already, as you've seen in California. This is a ruling that says that the congressional statutes that refer to Election Day refer, in essence, to the casting of those ballots rather than the receiving of those ballots.
ABC News legal contributor James Sample. President Trump now says Iran has requested peace talks in Doha, Qatar this week. This is ABC News.
Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:31. I'm Connie Weber. Immigrants' rights groups monitoring increased ICE activity in southeast Wisconsin. Voces de la Frontera started getting reports on their 24-hour hotline Friday from multiple locations across Milwaukee. They confirmed 4 people were detained. Then on Sunday, callers reported ICE activity near Jefferson Street and Moreland Road in Waukesha, where agents allegedly surrounded a vehicle, broke windows, and forced the driver out of the car. Another group, Forward Latino, issuing a week-long advisory for increased ICE activity. A driver accused of shooting at another car after a hit-and-run crash in Wauwatosa pleads not guilty. Lakeisha Trigg is charged with a felony of first-degree recklessly endangering safety. Prosecutors say she hit another vehicle as she was merging on I-41, causing the other car to drive into construction barrels. She then fired shots out of her window at the other car, allegedly before driving off. A trial date is not set. Trigg has a bail hearing next month. The Wisconsin Center District has a new interim leader. The district's board has appointed James Cantor as interim chief of staff following the firing of former president and CEO Marty Brooks. Brooks was terminated after the board accused him of misusing more than $50,000 in public funds, including restaurant meals, theater tickets, and other personal expenses. Cantor, who previously served as board chair, will lead the district while officials search for a permanent replacement. Time for news about your money with the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 220 points, 52,096. NASDAQ up 322 at 25,620. S&P 500 up 55 at 7,409. Financial planning at every level. Annex Comprehensive Wealth, Annex Private Client, Annex Ignite. Details at annexwealth.com. Taking a look at the roads with your WTMJ Time Saver traffic. I-43 north at the ramp from Lapham Street, the right shoulder blocked due to a disabled vehicle. And we do have a crash in Dane County blocking a lane, the left lane. I-94 west, about 7.5 miles beyond the ramp from Wisconsin 89. Here's your WTMJ 5-day forecast. Extreme heat warning starts at noon, a half hour from now. Mostly sunny, breezy, humid today with a high 94. Warm and muggy overnight with a low 76. The heat warning, the extreme heat warning in effect until 7 p.m. Tuesday. The heat index could be over 100 degrees. Tuesday's high 95. A chance of storms in north and central Wisconsin. A chance in southeast Wisconsin late in the day. Sunny skies, high humidity again Wednesday with a high of 96. Slight chance of storms on Thursday, mostly sunny with a high 95, and a chance of storms again on Friday, especially to the north. Friday's high 91. 83 in Madison, 79 in Green Bay, 84 in Milwaukee. I'm Connie Weber. Outdoor Living Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 11:34.
It pretty much hurt doing anything. I couldn't ride a bicycle. You don't have your life because you don't have your mobility.
So when Patrick heard about QC Kinetics and their non-invasive regenerative treatments for pain, no waiting, he called them immediately.
There's no downtime. There's no rehab. That was the tipping point for me. I didn't have to take any drugs. I didn't have to rehab.
Before considering surgery, check out QC Kinetics all-natural treatment options that restore and repair damaged joint tissue in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back.
If you have knee replacement surgery, and then the knee is not yours, and there's no guarantee that that's going to be successful.
QC Kinetics. Patients around the country are raving about the results. They're getting back their mobility, taking back their lives with no downtime, no drugs, and no surgery. Don't wait. Call QC Kinetics today for your complimentary consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-667-5559. That's 414-667-5559. 414-667-5559.
It's WTMJ's Debbie Loziga for Comfort Awnings. My motorized retractable awning is already saving me from that hot summer sun. I love that I can enjoy my patio year-round thanks to Comfort Awnings. I just retract it when I want the sun, extend it when I need the shade. Comfort Awnings even come equipped with sensors that detect rain and strong winds. This year, reclaim your outdoor space for your friends and family to enjoy every season Wisconsin has to offer. Right now, get $450 off any awning or screen. Call 414-AWNINGS or visit comfortawnings.com to learn more.
No matter what business you're in, as the #1 SBA lender in Wisconsin, Summit Credit Union helps your vision take shape with loan programs, great rates, and strategic solutions.
Awarded the #1 SBA lender by the Small Business Administration of Wisconsin in 2025.
As we said at the beginning of the show, there was breaking Supreme Court news, and if you listen to the show, you know that we often talk to our legal expert, Jim Santel, former U.S. Attorney for Southeastern Wisconsin, who joins us on the hotline. Good morning, Jim.
Steve and Kristen, good to be with you once again. A busy day out in Washington, D.C., coming on for the High Court.
Yes. Let's start with, what do you think was the most significant case that they ruled on today, their decision?
I think that the pair on presidential power, seemingly going in different directions, they seem to bend over backwards with respect to both of them to distinguish between the two of them, but it sends a mixed verdict, if you will, to the presidency and to the this White House in particular. On the one hand, telling him that, at least for now, he cannot fire Lisa Cook, a real affirmation of the independence of the Federal Reserve, which is not surprising given what we saw in the oral argument. And so that is regarded, at least for now, as a loss for the president. He wanted to fire her. The Supreme Court also saying you haven't given her some due process when it comes to these unfounded allegations of some mortgage fraud. And then the companion lawsuit, which we talked about just last week, seemingly, superficially going in the opposite direction, saying that the president can fire those people who are in these so-called other independent agencies. There are many of them out there, including the Federal Trade Commission, and this is a victory for the president with respect to Rebecca Slaughter, who he didn't like on the Federal Trade Commission. It's also significantly a reversal of about a 90-year precedent called Humphrey's Executor, which we've talked about. And so in that connection, a big case as well. I think those are the big power cases that come out of the Supreme Court just this morning. Other things as well, including some matters related to the future of elections, telling the states that they can, in fact, count late-arriving mail-in ballots coming out of Mississippi, but plainly affecting other states as well.
Does that one surprise you? So that was 5-4 with Barrett and Roberts siding with liberals as far as the mail-in ballots and when they need to be counted by. Does that one surprise you at all?
It did not completely. It was somewhat unclear from the oral argument, and you do have, as you just said, Kristen Roberts, the Chief Justice, and Amy Coney Barrett siding with the other three, and undeniably affirming, I think, this notion that Election Day does not mean, which was what the focus of the oral argument was all about, does not mean just those things that can be counted on Election Day. Here in Wisconsin, we do have an obligation to count all of those absentee ballots, but many other states, including, again, Mississippi and Illinois, have these extended grace periods for late arriving ballots. And for that reason, the Supreme Court saying, yes, you can count them as well. They have to be postmarked. They have to be postmarked by Election Day. You can't be submitting them late in terms of getting them into the postal system, but probably recognizing a lot of the practical implications of not only identifying those ballots, but counting them. Supreme Court says, yes, go ahead. Interestingly, they still have to decide on another case involving campaign finance. This one comes out of the vice president's own challenge, and that one has to do with whether or not political parties can more directly pay to the campaigns of individual candidates monies. Up to now, they've had to work through PACs, which we know well, and that's the other one that still is on the docket, maybe for decision as soon as tomorrow morning. So again, those issues also important in understanding what's going to happen for the campaigns coming up and the elections coming up this year.
The other one, Jim, that was sort of a personal matter for the president, but it went all the way up to the U.S. Supreme Court. They rejected the president's effort to overturn a sexual abuse and defamation verdict. I think it was $5 million. What did the court say?
Yep, the court basically says we're not going to entertain this. We're not going to review this at all. Basically denied the request of the president even for review of this 2023 jury verdict, $5 million in monies, as you indicated, Steve, saying that he defamed writer E. Jean Carroll in making certain statements about her, denying that there was a sexual assault back in the 1990s. Significantly, that is a loss for the president. That is a huge victory for E. Jean Carroll. Note that there's that other judgment, $83.3 million, same kind of thing, defaming her in 2019 after she once again accused him of that decades-old rape. That one, the Supreme Court has not yet indicated whether they're going to hear it. Unlikely they will do so. So with respect to his own personal involvement, which is significant there, a huge loss for the president today, likely not to result in a Supreme Court decision to take that other case. And so somewhere in upwards of $100 million in damages, a judgment against the president, again, for these sex abuse allegations coming out of the 1990s, the E. Jean Carroll lawsuits. Their a decision not to review those cases today.
So then, as far as anything else from today that you feel like is worth breaking down?
I think that it is important. This has to do with Fourth Amendment. We're always concerned about the Fourth Amendment, are we not? Mm-hmm. And Supreme Court basically ordering a lower court to reconsider what's called a geofence warrant. And in particular, case that was challenging a warrant based upon cell phone location data near a crime scene. The lower court basically determining that the defendant does have a right to challenge that and to review whether or not the decision to, frankly, pursue him investigatively. The Supreme Court today saying we're going to send this back down in a 6-3 decision, throwing out a lower court's ruling against the defendant, who had argued that he was subjected to an illegal search and that evidence in his case should be excluded, having to do with whether, again, this geofence warranting process that permits access to cell phone location near a crime scene leading to the conviction here, whether that should be sustained, goes back down now for further review by the appeals court. Again, a Fourth Amendment case going back to the lower courts for review. Again, significant. That may come back. It is once again important because it's the intersection of these constitutional principles, been out there since 1789, and our electronic devices. James Madison could not possibly have envisioned that we'd be talking about geofencing 238 years later.
Should we, Jim Santel joining us on Point Taken on 620 WTMJ, should we read anything into what will be, I guess, the final day of decisions tomorrow, that they waited all that time for the birthright citizenship
case? I think it's fairly clear that, as we've talked before, even legislators last week, Stephen Kristen, fairly clear that the Supreme Court is saving to last, again, this campaign finance issue. Transgender athletes also out there, likely that they will say, yes, indeed, states can, through their legislatures, impose restrictions on the capacity of transgender women to participate in women's sports. That's likely to happen based upon the oral argument. Also based upon the oral argument, the big one that will grab headlines tomorrow, very likely, birthright citizenship. This goes back 2 years. President very frustrated with the Supreme Court in not giving him what he wants, and unlikely to get a relief from that frustration tomorrow. Supreme Court almost certainly to say, no, Mr. President, 14th Amendment, when it talks about the right of people to be citizens of this nation, we're going to support what the Supreme Court had said 100 years or so ago, that when you are born in this country geographically, you are entitled to citizenship. The president maintaining that some language in the Fourth Amendment having to do with jurisdiction says that if your mother was not presently here, not here legally, or is here temporarily, therefore we don't have jurisdiction, and therefore you're not a citizen. the Supreme Court, again, by a majority, probably not unanimously, but by a majority, likely to reject that theory and continue the age-old tradition that when you're born here, you get citizenship. That's going to be the one that they're going to issue right before the 4th of July holiday, in addition to the others on transgender athletes in this campaign finance. And they'll be done. Just under 70 opinions altogether for this term. They're already populating the term beginning in September of, basically October of this coming year, and we can chat more about those cases as well coming up. But a big day today when it comes to these power decisions, the authority of the president to act a mixed bag with respect to what the presidency can and cannot do. A huge impact. The Slaughter case is going to have an impact upon our understanding of the role of the executive, and goes back to what we've talked about in your previous broadcasts, this concept of, again, a broad executive authority to decide who can and cannot serve on these boards. Supreme Court basically saying we've got a lot of changes in the ways in which these executive agencies, these independent agencies now work much more like an executive, and seemingly giving the president an awful lot of authority, which I suspect he will now use, as can future presidents.
So any chance that any of these pending cases, pending rulings come out after tomorrow? Is tomorrow going to be the day?
Yeah, it appears that they're going to finish this up, much to the surprise of everybody, given the amount of cases that they had as late as last week. It appears they've got these 3 more. Again, they issued 4 today. 3, they presumably sent them to the printer already, so they'll release them tomorrow. Outside chance they may do it on Wednesday, but likely tomorrow, or at the outside into Wednesday, but highly unlikely they're going to interrupt our celebration of the 4th of July by issuing more opinions. They can if they want to, and if there is some dispute continuing, they can certainly do it. There's nothing constitutional about requiring them to issue these opinions immediately, but it looks as if they'll be able to get them done in the next 48 hours, and then we'll have to do some assessments of the overall term of the Supreme Court, which again, as we chatted about just last week, as much as these cases are huge in terms of presidential authority, the other big ones, of course, tariffs, in which they handed the president a loss, saying, no, you can't do that, Mr. President. Tariffs continue to be on the dockets of lower courts. And the biggest one of all, from my perspective, is this Calais case coming out of Louisiana, basically bringing Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act to its knees, if not completely eviscerating it and saying, yes, indeed, you can pretty much do whatever you want to do when it comes to political gerrymandering, and you do not have to be concerned about the effects of racial gerrymandering. The only remaining possibility would be if you overtly do this, draw lines based upon racial animus, then we're going to review it, but really gives the states, as we have seen in many states already, a huge amount of authority to redraw lines and do it in a way that has an impact upon racial voting and black majority districts in a number of different states, typically in the South, but not exclusively. That, I think, the final blow, if you will, from many perspectives to the Voting Rights Act of, again, 1960s.
We got to leave it there, Jim, because we're running a little bit late. Thanks for all your wisdom on all of these cases, and stay close to your phone. We may need your wisdom shared as soon as tomorrow.
We'll do just that, Steve. Tristan, good to be with you once again.
Thanks, James.
Right. Quick break here on 620 WTMJ.
Oh, boy, it's getting so expensive to dine out, but not at the Mind Chef restaurant in Hartford. WTMJ's John Mercure here. The Mind Chef is family-owned, understands inflation hurts. Every Monday when you buy one pizza, you get a second pizza absolutely free. Any size, any quantity. You buy one, get one free. Buy 2, get 2 free. Buy 10 pizzas, get 10 free pizzas. Business owners, managers, bring in pizza for your hardworking employees and your key clients. They're going to love it because it's delicious pizza, and your second pizza's free, saving your company a ton of money. Bring your family in today for free pizza. Your kids will love that world-class game room. The Mine Shaft in beautiful downtown Hartford and near EAA in Oshkosh, just off the interstate. Lots of seating, lots of close parking. No need to cook. Don't think about cleaning today. Mondays can be tough enough. Buy one pizza, get one free at the Mine Shaft. Plenty to take home for tomorrow. Desserts, and I love their desserts, are also buy one, get one free. Just walk in today for your free Monday pizza. MineshaftRestaurant.com.
Our children deserve a real chance to make it in life, and a good education is a passport to opportunity. At City Ford Collective, we're working to make sure there's a great Milwaukee school for every Milwaukee family, because more good options lead to better outcomes. And who doesn't want that? Together, we can give every child the foundation they need to thrive, and a stronger future for kids means a stronger future for Milwaukee. To learn more about our mission, visit us at cityfordcollective.org. That's cityfordcollective.org.
Are you worried about running out of money in retirement? Wondering about how to pay less taxes? Join me, Tony Drake, for the Retirement Ready Show, live every Saturday at noon and Sunday at 7 a.m. on WTMJ 620 or 103.3 FM. We'll talk about smart strategies to help you retire with confidence. Don't miss it.
Drake & Associates LLC is an independent investment advisory firm that offers a variety of different investment vehicles. This commercial is provided for informational purposes only and should not be construed as individual investment advice. Drake & Associates LLC does not provide legal or tax advice. Past performance is not indicative of future performance.
Wholesale mulch? No problem. We deliver to residential or wholesale accounts, and we can supply you with whatever volume of the highest quality mulch you need. Nobody around here has more mulch than Erickson's. We'll deliver you a 1-yard pickup truck load all the way up to 100 yards in a walking floor trailer. And if you just need a little bit, swing by and we'll fill up a 5-gallon bucket or two. It's the best mulch you'll find. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential. Visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection. Our decorative stone is available by the handful for pickup, all the way up to 24-ton load deliveries. And our stone is superlative. We scour the countryside, countrywide, from Arizona to the Carolinas. We search pretty much the whole U.S. of A. to find you easily the best stone selection in southeastern Wisconsin. See a rainbow of decorative stone colors to match any exterior decor. Erickson's Landscape Supply. High-quality mulch and stone for a whole lot less. Commercial or residential, visit ericksonslandscapesupply.com to see our entire selection.
Welcome back to the final segment of Point Taken with Kristen and Steve, because we had a lot to talk about with James.
We did.
But going into, so when I woke up this morning, yesterday was cool. And then I know as the day was going on, it's getting hotter and hotter. But even when I got into my car this morning in the garage, the air felt thick. I don't know if there's another way to talk about it. But truly, they're saying this is a heat dome as far as how they are addressing. I think it's over half of the country. And, some of us are lucky enough to have air conditioning. Some of us are lucky to have access to a pool. But certainly a lot of people are going to be suffering under this heat wave this week.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about, I don't know when the last time we had temperatures like this in successive days. We're talking 90 plus for 4 days, maybe 5 days. That's a long time, because you know this, when you're in that kind of heat, it just it's like debilitating. It's like it wears you out. And I'm talking about people that aren't spending their days outside. There's a lot of people that are roofers, that do outside work. Think about what they're going through. And at some point, it's about hydration, staying out of the sun as much as possible. But I guess the thing that I would advise people, one, pay attention to the weather forecast, but two, hydrate, try to stay out of the direct sun, because it's a big difference between getting beat down by the sun.
Well, because this is happening right after there was a massive heat wave in Europe, and there was an additional 1,000 deaths.
Yeah, 1,000
last
deaths.
Week.
Think about that for a second.
So this is, as much as sometimes, like I said, sometimes this last month wasn't that warm, so some people are going to be taking advantage of how hot it feels, that it feels like summer, but be careful as far as this is just like when it is so cold, the amount of people who do not have shelter from the elements, like this is going to be a rough week. So keep that in mind as well.
Can you imagine going back 100 years when there was no AC, and let's just say it's 95 for like 5 days in a row? Think about that for a second.
Well, I guess people who live near the equator are fairly used to it as far as the different. But that's the thing, is it brings up an interesting conversation that maybe we can have more experts on, as far as if the world, I don't say if, as the world is getting hotter and hotter, how we rethink how we build things, right? Because I remember a couple of years ago when in and around Arizona, it was so hot that an airplane couldn't take off.
Yeah.
Right? Because the airplane was not built to fly in that kind of heat. And so the technological advancements that are going to have to be made as far as housing, transportation, all of these different things to withstand temperatures is something that this week is a reminder of, is that we got to keep building and innovating.
Shade is your best friend when it's hot, because there's a significant difference between being out in the sun and being in the shade. So if you've got a tree in your backyard, that's where I would hang out. All right, so we're going to be at the WTMJ Golf Classic at Morningstar tomorrow. We'll be broadcasting live at 10 a.m. Looking forward to that. After our quick break here, news is next. We'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Great show today.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio